everybody. Welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I have a publisher, an author, everything all in one. Caught her right in the middle of moving, which is always a moving experience. Very moving, I guess. Carrie is with us today, Carrie Severson. And Carrie is somebody that everyone needs to meet, especially if you're an author and a female author, and you're looking for somebody to kind of come around beside you and guide you and help you and lead you. Carrie's the person you need to talk to. Carrie's here on the podcast. Welcome, Carrie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Well, so, okay, we alluded to it. I alluded to it already. You're moving.
Yes.
You're okay, right? You're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Cardboard and tape everywhere?
Yes. It is. Yeah, it's frustrating. Not frustrating. It's overwhelming to like walk around and like know that folks are coming tomorrow to help us pack up move the actual big furniture. And I feel like I've gotten as far as I can get until that happens. And then once that happens, I know I'll be like shoving stuff in like places and most likely lose it. But there's only so much my brain can hold. And I knew this was happening months ago. And I also knew I was launching a book, a year ago. And so it just, of course, when it rains, it pours. So
and then some guy in Canada wanted you to get on a podcast. You're just come on, let's just keep adding it on here, right?
I love it. This is what helps me actually like stay sane is these.
Okay. Well, that's the first time somebody's told me that I make them sane. So that's really new. That's great. My wife would say complete opposite of that. But the one thing I love about moving is when you open a box and you find one of the two shoes. And you're like, why did I box up one shoe? Now I got to go find this other shoe. I just need a spoon. And there's no boxes with spoons. Where are the spoons? Right? Oh, they're in the living room or they're in the bedroom. It's like, yeah. Moving is very unsettling. And I wish you well. And
thank you.
I'm sure it's going to go smooth. Everything's going to be fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Carrie, let's do this. Let's do the podcast. I would love to start first, if you don't mind. Let's talk about the Unapologetic Voice.
Yeah.
Let me talk about the website. Let's explain to us A, why you started this, and B, who is this for?
Sure. So the Unapologetic Voice House is a hybrid publishing house, and I started it in 2019 because I had pitched literary agents for about 5 years, my book, which is Unapologetically Enough. And I pitched close to 100 agents. I heard back from half of them and some really heartfelt rejections where I would get legitimate phone calls from agents telling me why they were passing on me, and almost like talking themselves through it because they were so torn up over the fact that they had to pass on me because of my numbers. My platform wasn't big enough. And I have an okay platform size, it's like 25,000 or something, 30,000 maybe. But the work that my book was being compared to, the Brene Browns, the Elizabeth Gilberts, the Gabby Bernsteins, the Glennon Doyles, they had millions of followers. And so every agent I spoke to or pitched would say that I'm not a saleable commodity because I couldn't compete with those bigger names. Wow. So, you hear it once, okay, you keep going. You hear it like close to 50 times. All right. So I pivoted and I thought, if I've been a professional storyteller since I was 19. I know how to write. I'm a really good writer. I've written for national outlets for a variety of years. I know how to market. I know how to promote. If I can't get picked up, then there's got to be other women like me who are in the same category, same boat as me. So I started the Unapologetic Voice House as a hybrid publishing house because my work couldn't get picked up and I couldn't get picked up. Hybrid publishing, independent publishing is the blend between self-publishing and traditional. So self-publishing is in the writers keep the rights to their work. There is an upfront investment. I run the Unapologetic Voice House a lot like an agency where I have editors and designers and account managers that walk the authors through the process, help them with the step-by-step, pipeline because writing a book, the writing piece is just one element that goes into putting a book out to the world.
Yeah.
We also have social media managers that we can work with. We have plenty of opportunities for marketing. I run it like an agency because that's sincerely what's necessary in order for your book to make an indent somewhere in the world. The traditional aspect of what I do comes down to the distribution. So when you're self-published, you typically are published through one outlet, like Amazon KDP's program. If you're going through BookBaby or Ingram Sparks, you might be able to get your book out into a couple of different retailers, but it isn't many. And you are responsible for marketing it yourself. The traditional element of what hybrid publishing, independent publishing is able to do is we have a partnership with a distribution company called Independent Publishing Group. A lot of other houses have partnerships with Ingram. And they act as our sales team to bookstores, to libraries, to retailers. We are able to do small print runs. We are able to do large print runs. And whenever something happens, for example, I have Unapologetically Enough has a campaign happening right now with Goodreads. We're doing a giveaway. I tell the distribution sales team, hey, we're doing a giveaway on Goodreads. They go out and they talk to their, the folks that they communicate with, libraries and the bookstores, because those retailers, those end users would want to compete. And so it's a full breadth of support in a much bigger way than a tradition, like a self-publishing opportunity is. And so every author that comes in is given the opportunity to have this big support in getting their book out into the world.
Excellent. Okay. So how long have you been doing this then?
I started it in 2019.
2019. Okay.
3 years.
How many authors at this point roughly do you have with you?
I've published 30 books.
30. Okay. Wow.
And 3 of those were anthologies. And so each one of those had like 15 authors. So there's quite a number of people who have been, that have come through the Unapologetic Voice House. My book was published in May. We have 2 others, I think, that are published this year. And then we're looking at material already for 2023. So I would love to say that, I published 10 books a year. The first year it was, just a few. Second year was about 10. Last year was, I almost doubled. And I've scaled back this year just knowing that, my attention was going to be called other places because my book was coming out.
So I'm always curious about how a business, how something like this that starts up creates their name and identity. Is there a story behind the name and why you chose that for this?
Yeah. So a couple of years ago in 2018, I was doing a lot of work helping women specifically figure out what story, what voice they wanted to share with the world. Being a professional storyteller for more than 2 decades, I've become really good at recognizing a story when I hear a story. So I can be in regular conversation with folks and they'll say something and my heart will twinge or my skin will crawl or something will happen. And I'm like, tell me more about that right there, because that's where your story is. I've become really good at that. And the unapologetic voice really sits in that space of knowing your story, knowing the origin of your story, knowing what it means to you, and that you can help other people figure out something similar through your own story. Why would you hide that? And so many people do, because they're afraid to express it. They're afraid to stand behind it. They're afraid to remove whatever blocks are standing in their way of getting it out into the world. So I was doing a lot of work in that, ballpark of helping women really lean into that unapologetic voice that sits within you. How do you let that out? And the concept of owning a house in that space
Okay.
just
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of progressed, where I woke up one day and I got this download in my heart that was like, you know what, you should be the house for authors who can't put this out by themselves.
Well, I love it. That's again, I'm always curious where that name comes from, and and especially when you can hear that story behind it, that's
Thank
unique.
you.
It's really, really good. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your book for a moment.
Yeah.
So unapologetically enough, tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about this, and does it kind of mirror what you're doing with your business, or is this completely separate?
It's totally separate.
Okay.
So unapologetically enough was really the catapult, to
Oh, that's fine. Dogs are always welcome on the podcast.
yeah. Unapologetically enough was really the catapult to get me to launch the house. So that was like the my linchpin. If I can't get this out traditionally, there's got to be others too.
Yeah.
At the time, though, it wasn't titled Unapologetically Enough, but that's a different story. The book itself is really my journey to accepting my own enoughness through burnout, through challenging my own status as a woman without her own children, really landing at home in my own body, my own heart, my own mind, and claiming that concept of being enough myself. So it is my journey through both professional and personal inner work.
Okay, that's amazing. So, okay, so you touch on burnout, topic that many people are obviously focused in on and can overrule your life and distract you from everything, right? And just take you down a few notches. From your experience and going through professional burnout, what kind of things have kind of helped you? What kind of things, as far as maybe some guardrails that you would suggest for people who are either experiencing it or on the edge of getting to that point? How can we direct people?
Yeah. So the edge is the first thing, where it's like, if you, for me, it was this idea that my mind was always racing. No matter what I did, I never felt as if I could relax. Like I couldn't ever fully exhale. And after a while, it started to feel like no matter what I did, I was always in a pit. I was always underwater. There was never, I never felt satisfied. There was never a relief. And the relief was really, I think, the final straw for me, where I had to force myself to go to 2 events that meant a lot to people who mean a lot to me. I had to force myself to get on a plane to go to a wedding. I had to force myself to get on a plane to go celebrate my girlfriend's 40th birthday. And I had to talk myself out of staying at home to work, because I was afraid I was going to let work down, but not let me down, not let people who I care deeply about down. And so I got on a plane. I went to both of these events. It happened really quickly. I came back and I felt a little different, but not different enough to make a big change. And that was really the last little straw for me, where I was like, work didn't, and I was an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I was the one that was putting me through that.
Yeah.
So it was like, work didn't care. My business didn't care. I took a break. Nothing dramatic happened. Nothing fell through the cracks. I deserve to find happiness in my life again. And there was a lot of inner work or mirror work that had to really happen. It was a choice I had to make, and I had to make on a regular basis, because once we become addicted to our jobs or addicted to that stress, it's like any other addiction. We have to come to peace with it, concept of the, like, we are making a choice to stay in this, and we can make a choice to choose something else, but we're not. Mm-hmm. So the edge is really important because we're already there. We're just not making a different choice. Yeah. So once I did make that choice and I did give myself a break, I took vacation. I hadn't taken a vacation in 2 years when I started, the business I was burned out in. I had an advisory board and a board of directors I could lean on. So I was very blessed that I was in a very unique position that I could take the time I needed to heal my mind, my body, and my soul, really, right? Like your spirit just takes a huge hit when we're sitting in the space of overwhelm, psychological overwhelm, emotional overwhelm. So the first thing I actually did was force myself to I put my computer, I went somewhere where I couldn't have internet access. I put my phone away. I didn't take it out. I put my computer away. And I would literally just sort of sit down and learn to be still again, because I didn't know how to do that. I had to force my brain to sort of decompress. Wow. Big inhales, exhales, a lot of meditation. And then I did a ton of journaling, actually. Being a writer, words are my superpower. And I would feel something and I would just stream of conscious, write out, why do I feel this way? And I would write until I couldn't write anymore. And I would wait for the next feeling to come. And I would do the same thing. And this went on for long periods of time, days on end, where I would just stream of conscious, just wrote out whatever I was feeling. And that really helped me sort of unpack the things that I had been avoiding that I needed to really look at. But one of the best things that I talk about this in my book, the term happiness is a really big thing for me. I love laughter. I love fun. I love playing. And when you're in a state of total overwhelm, workaholic, play is the last thing that we allow ourselves. And so I made a list of, 20 things I wanted to bring back into my life. And everything had to make me feel happy, whether it was standing with my feet in the grass or coloring or taking a nap, really simple things that we don't let ourselves have anymore. I made boundaries around these very simple things. And that is really how my journey out of burnout really took place. Is I made a list of things that made me feel happy, and I protected those things like the world depended on it. And slowly but surely it started to shift for me.
Do you think that people can slip in and out of burnout, even if they have a really bad experience with burnout? They make great steps forward, but do you think it's easy to become comfortable and then start to take away those rewards that we've offered ourselves and then slowly end up back exactly where we had started?
Totally. I think every time we start a new project or we're in a new space in life, we start a new business. I used to call it my flirt line. I know where it is, and it's really hard actually to not get super close to it, because I love what I do. And now I'm out promoting a book, and finding the balance is an ongoing thing. It's not like you make the decision, you choose something different and you're in a different space and you stay there. Yeah. It's a daily choice to, you know what, I'm not going to let this run my life.
Yeah. Because I think I'm the type of person, I kind of resonate with what you're saying. I'm the type of person that will, if I have idle time, I'll try to fill it with something. Yeah. And I generally, like you're saying, I don't give myself a lot of rewards. I don't give myself a lot of downtime. And I think in that quietness that you're talking about, that's when you can really tap into your creativity. Things just become more evident when you get rid of the noise and allow yourself some space. And I think some people are afraid of the space, though. They're afraid of, okay, well, if I just sit here, And then what? Like, are
Right.
people going to judge me that I need a break? Because in our
Yep.
culture, it's all about suck it up. You can do better. You can do more.
Yeah.
Here, work weekends, work late, work overtime,
Work
and
until
we
you
all
can't work
sign up.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we sign up for it. And we think it's a badge of honor, that I worked an extra shift this week, or I plugged through and I did my 24 hours straight without a break. Uh, like, is that really a sign of achievement in life? Really, when we look back on our lives, is see all the things that we gave away and the time we didn't keep for ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about that.
I had a coach tell me once that even my vision boards, I do vision boards. There used to be these gigantic 3 trifold pieces of cardboard I'd have all around the house. And it was almost as if I had to fill every white space on this board, because if I didn't, it meant that like I wasn't thinking enough, I wasn't imagining enough. And she's like, but if you don't have any space, how do you expect the universe to actually give you anything? And
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, okay, so how do I receive if I'm not allowing space in my life to receive? Okay, I got it. So I think about that often when, I'll do an interview or I'll have a coaching call, or, I slip in between being the publisher and being the author a lot these days. And rather than just jump from one task to another, this is something that I learned to do. I'll put down my phone. I will log off the computer. I'll turn it off. I'll plug it in to give it a charge. I'll go fill up my water. I'll talk to the dog. I'll go for a walk. I'll go check the mail. Like I have to change my mindset from one task to another. Otherwise, it's like before you know it, it's 2:00. I haven't ate. I haven't showered.
Yeah.
There's packages at the door I live in Phoenix. They are probably melted.
Yeah.
We have to give ourselves, even if it's like a 10-minute break during the day, that's part of your day.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can't be ashamed of that.
No.
Even though our culture tells us it's not normal to give yourself space. And I would love to fight against that, because we need to make it normal. We need to make it so it's not, people don't feel guilty for taking a break, stepping back, creating space. Like, it has to become normal.
There was a study that was released in April. I think it was just for women at work. I want to say it was a global study, 5,000 women, 10 different countries. Businesses are really interested in the Great Resignation. They're very interested in understanding this concept of how do you go back to work after COVID? How do you go back into, real life now that life's different? And I want to say it was like 53% of women surveyed stated that they've never been more stressed in life, period. They've never felt more burned out, with the added level of stress to what is now considered the new normal. So in addition to feeling, overworked, then there's the pandemic.
Yeah.
And all of the additional things that we put ourselves through over the last 2 years. So burnout is definitely a topic that I'm very passionate about, talking about, and especially finding a way out of it. It's not something that, I think, and we have to speak up for ourselves individually. It has to start with us, but there's so much that can be done at a business level that I hope companies really start to look at and implement.
Yeah. I think that's a whole side, the mental health side. Again, you don't see someone struggling with mental health issues. You can see somebody with a broken arm or a sprained ankle. Those are physical. You can see them physically, and you can accommodate them. But when you have somebody who's struggling mentally, overwhelmed, many different things, you can't see it at all times.
No.
And often misread and misunderstood.
Yep.
And I think as a culture, we can probably do much better as how we treat each other with grace and kindness and space and, that patience, everything. If we can all kind of approach life in a more focus on others and less on ourselves. I think that would be a huge benefit as well, to kind of create a safe space for people to deal with overwhelm and burnout.
Yeah.
I think we all have a part to play with that.
I love that.
Yeah. Amazing stuff, Carrie. Really appreciate it today. It would take time out of your packing and all the stuff going on in your life. What is the best way for people to connect with you? They have questions. They want to, meet and greet and talk to you more. What is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Well, my book website is unapologeticallyenough.com.
Okay.
And the publishing house is the unapologeticvoicehouse.com. So I run both those sites. There's contact information on both of those. You're able to get a hold of me through either one.
You're active on, I saw Instagram today. You did a post as well. So you're active there as well. So
yeah, on all of them. I love it. It's so much. That's fun for me now. Like doing reels on Facebook that post to Instagram and TikTok and upload to all these other places. And it's fun. I like that stuff.
It's awesome. So yeah, so great to meet you again, Carrie, and talk a little bit more. Good luck with the move and everything.
Thank you.
And I hope we get to talk again in the future. If you have any of your authors are looking to get on a podcast, hey, I would love to host any of your authors. They all get to come on for free, Carrie. Special offer just for you.
Okay.
How's that?
That's great.
That's awesome. Go walk that dog and take a little break, okay?
Sounds good.
Unplug. Unplug. You promise?
I will. Yeah, totally.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
Carrie. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Hi, guys. This is Dave from Living the Next Chapter, a podcast designed to connect authors and audiences. We're always on the lookout for our next interview. If you're an author, a publisher, and you have a book, whether you're just starting, whether you're halfway through writing, or it's all done and you want to tell the world, that's why we're here at Living the Next Chapter. Get in touch with us through livingthenextchapter.com, contact us, and let's set up some time together to discuss your book, to discuss your project, and how we can get you on the show. My name is Dave, and I would love to speak to you. So go to livingthenextchapter.com, and let's get over there together and discuss all the great things that you're up to as an author, as a publisher, and let's grow your audience together. Join us on livingthenextchapter.com for great authors and an audience that's eager to hear about what you're up to as an author and a publisher. Contact us today, and let's get your book out in front of others. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation, not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.